Where were we? Yes, line 620. We're defining an object. Do you remember what const and let mean?
Const is when you define an object and it can't change.
Yeah, you define,
But
really any variable. So variables don't have to be objects.
okay.
They can be simple types, or they could be objects, which are complex types.
Okay.
So you're right. Const means you can't reassign the value.
Mm-hmm.
So if we said const height is equal to 70,
Mm-hmm.
and then we try to say height is equal to 71, there will be an error thrown. And then, so if we wanted to change the value, what would we say instead?
Const height equals 70, 71.
Well, you
Or no, we go let, because it can change.
What you decided what was brings up a good point though. If we were to redeclare a variable by saying const height say equals 80, this would also throw an error.
Okay.
Because you can't declare a const twice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. So
be let height.
Yeah, let height is equal to 60 or whatever, and then you're free to redefine height to be whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Might be 61, or you could say height is equal to height plus 5, etc., etc.
And it'll just take whichever line is lower. What?
Yeah. So the JavaScript interpreter executes code from top to bottom.
But usually that's a variable, anyways.
Height.
Let height equals something, right?
What? Say that again. I mean, yeah, height is a variable.
Okay. Usually it would be let height equal number, right? And then from some other array or something, 60 would be plugged into it.
Say that again.
So let height would equal number.
Number as in like 60, right?
Okay, no. I was thinking like, since that 60 can
word
change.
number.
Yeah.
Alright, so yeah, the way you would write it is let height colon number
Okay.
is equal to 60.
Okay.
So you type using a colon,
Mm-hmm.
and then you assign a value using the equal sign.
What if you want it to be like let height equal, and then it could be any number that you want to populate. Like it could be let height equal n, and then n would be, it could equal either 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, and then it would be plugged in, and then once 60 is plugged in, it would go into something happens when height equals 60 or something.
Yeah, all right. So that's.
But
that's
we could be
good
getting distracted.
Well, this actually might be an important concept.
Okay.
So you're saying let height equal n?
Yeah, and then n could equal like anything. N could be n.
Well, let's write out as if you're an actual program, like line by line, because I want to make sure you understand something about code execution.
Like all what I was saying was that it could be an array of like n. How would I like write n is an array?
Yeah, just this. So first you're gonna have to say const or let for n itself. So you can say const n is equal to, and then write in the values of the array right there.
Okay, so yeah, it's just like 60, 61, 62, and then when you do it, it would be like when 60 is plugged in. I don't know. I think I'm thinking of this as a function.
Gotcha.
Because then, because like what if you had height in some sort of, height was a variable or something, some sort of function. Never mind, this is kind of just a rabbit hole.
I know we do.
Yeah, never mind. Just, you teach me.
All right.
Tell me what you were going to say.
And I think we covered it. What I want to make sure.
It's const versus let.
Yeah, what I want to make sure clear though here is, okay, I thought you were saying n would be equal to 45. So height, well, now what's the value of height? 45. Exactly, 45. Now here's a good question. Let's say we say n is now equal to 46.
Mm-hmm.
What is height equal to?
46.
It's actually equal to 45.
Okay.
So
because we didn't say let.
Because we can say let here.
Yeah.
No, even if you said let here,
okay.
Actually, this would throw an error.
Okay.
I think it would. You're only allowed to define the type of photo, like the. So const is let. We can call that an assignment type.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if that's the official name, but const means it can only be signed once,
Mm-hmm.
so it has a constant assignment type.
Yeah.
Let means it can be signed as many times as you want.
Mm-hmm.
So you only just declare the assignment type of a variable once.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you want to reassign the value to a variable, you just say the variable name equals the new value.
Okay.
Now the interesting thing about how variable assignment works is the value of n gets passed in to height here, and height now has the value of what n was set equal to, but it doesn't equal n itself.
It equals 45.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so if n changes, height will still be 45.
Exactly.
Because it's already plugged in there. But how do you kind of reset that? You would just have to change the actual equals 45 to 46. You know what I'm saying? If it's like this, yeah, and you add n equals 46, this is already equal to, like, so say we go like this. Say we have n equals 4, okay, so now, boop, this is 45.
Yes.
It's not n.
Right.
So
Exactly.
n equals,
yeah.
So if you go n equals 46,
right.
It's like, okay, well,
height is
sorry,
45.
it's still 45 because
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
already plugged in.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can say height equals n again, or you can say height equals 46.
Yeah, and then if you plug in,
Yeah, I think you get the concept. All right. Anyway, so files can import and export things. Here we have an object. It's of type const, and that object itself has no name, by the way.
Okay.
Mysterious.
But it has two properties called Sigma nodes updater, Sigma nodes updater args. Let's command click on Sigma nodes updater.
Not working.
All right. Just the command P for Sigma nodes updater. Yeah, there we go. All right. So in this file, we have two export statements. 10937, and we're exporting a class called Sigma nodes updater, and then go down to the bottom. We're also exporting a class called Sigma nodes updater args. So we have two exports in this file. One is Sigma nodes updater args, one is Sigma nodes updater. Meaning, in a different file, we can import up to two things from this file. One is Sigma nodes updater, one is Sigma nodes updater args. So go back to Versify. That's what we're doing here. We're importing both things that are exported. And
Just by saying this?
yes.
Okay.
More specifically, it's because it's the equals required.
Okay.
So equals require will return an object with the exported names from the other file. So require this file, it itself, require this file is represented by the string, returns an object, and that object has two properties. And what are the two properties of that object?
The Sigma node updater, all of the names, and then all of the arguments.
Yeah, exactly. Sigma nodes updater and Sigma nodes updater args.
Yeah.
And so that object, so this right here is an object, and we set that object, we set the value of that object, we pass the value of that object equal into this object over here. This object over here has no name, but has two properties. So essentially, each of those two properties gets set equal to the value of each of these two properties in this object.
But where are the two? There's two properties in this object?
Yes, they are defined, and click back over here. One property is defined here. The first export property is defined here.
Okay.
Sigma nodes updater. The second export property is defined
Is this?
right there.
Sigma nodes, but this is...
Okay, args.
Yeah. So, Sigma node updater. So question
Yes.
is Sigma node updater? Is this a property of Sigma node updater?
Of the
Like-
file?
So yeah. Okay. So this class is a property of the file.
Yeah, I guess that's one way of thinking of it.
Because you said.
Yeah.
Is this where we were?
Yeah.
Because you said that this is a file. Okay, and this file has two properties.
Right. Well, more specifically, passing the file into the require function transforms the file into an object with a variable amount of properties, with the amount of properties being equal to the number of export statements in the file.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
at the moment inside of the file, I want to say that Sigma Notes Updater is a property of the file, but it will become a property of the file, of the object returned from the file being passed into, the file name being passed into the require object, the require function.
Yeah. And so when you pass the file name into the require function, it will give a value for each thing that you export, right?
Yes.
And so if you're exporting, say this is a class, then Sigma Nodes Updater and Sigma Nodes Updater args.
Yes.
Each of those have a value, and then each of them will. Are these now equal to these? But is this just saying that Sigma Nodes Updater equals a value that in this and Sigma Nodes Updater?
Sigma Nodes Updater value inside of here.
Yeah. Okay.
So you might not be too familiar yet with certain types of syntax things, but alternatively, we could rewrite this line as
Cool. Sorry.
You could say const Sigma Nodes Updater exports is equal to require, and then the name of the file.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, so we have an object.
Okay.
This object will have how many properties?
2.
Right. So what we could do alternatively is say const Sigma Nodes Updater is equal to the Sigma Nodes Updater property inside of the Sigma Nodes Update exports object.
Okay.
Then likewise, where did we use control minus? No, wait, what? Why did that disappear? All right. Likewise, how would you define the Sigma Nodes Updater args?
Just the same thing with nodes update.
Yeah.
So
Updater args. Oh, that should be updater.
Updater.
Yeah.
So it should just be the same thing with Sigma Nodes update exports dot Sigma Nodes updater args.
Exactly.
Like you would just, where is it? You would just copy. This is what you just typed? Yeah. You would just copy this and then write Sigma Nodes updater args at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and those are the same thing.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Line 620. Oh yeah, you'll finish pasting it so I can just show you something. Exactly. And then at the start of line 623, change Sigma Nodes Updater to Sigma Nodes Updater args.
Okay.
So line 620 is a way to write line 621 through 623 in one line instead of 3 lines.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than naming an object and calling it Sigma Nodes Updater exports, we create an unnamed object with 2 properties that are directly assigned to the result of the require statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And then how do you use this? How do you use this one? What's the purpose of this?
The things that are imported.
Yeah. What's the purpose of this line? So like, yeah, what is the purpose of the two values?
Right. They are used on lines 622 and
Okay.
624.
Okay.
So the two values we imported, they're classes, right? So the type of these properties, or they're now variables that we can access. I don't know if you call them properties anymore. The type of these variables themselves are classes. It's kind of interesting if you think about it. So we've been used to assigning simple types to.
Yeah.
We've assigned numbers and strings.
Yeah, but this is just literally an entire class.
Yeah, we've assigned results of classes into variable.
Yeah.
But now we have a variable that's literally a class.
Entire class.
And actually, that's how all variables work.
Yeah, most.
When we say class person implements iPerson,
yeah,
it injects
it's
into our execution environment a variable called person.
Yeah.
And we can say equals person.
And then this is some sort of dependency injection.
Right. So we are defining here that anytime we see the symbol denoted by types.sigma_nodes_updater args, we're going to inject an instance of the class sigma_nodes_updater args. And then line 623 through 626 says, anytime we see @inject followed by the symbol types.iSigmaNodesUpdater, we will create an instance of the SigmaNodesUpdater class. But more specifically, actually, anytime we see @inject types.iSigmaNodesUpdater followed by tags, we're going to inject a single instance of SigmaNodesUpdater, such that if we have that @inject @tag pair, 5 different places on code, it will really just inject one instance.
In all different fab.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, that was good. It was a good review, kind of. Yeah.
And for us to be able to find this injection, first we had to import the classes from another file.
Yeah.
All right. I'm actually down to take like a 5 to 10 minute break.
Yeah.
That's the modern stuff. Unless you got to prep for your class.
Yeah, I should. So. Oh, you inject both. For this situation, would you inject both updater args and SigmaNodesUpdater?
Right. Yeah, those are two separate.
And those are different classes. Yeah, and they just do different things. One would be, I feel like one class is like a list. Like SigmaNodesUpdater is. How do we go there? Is it just here?
Yeah, you have to literally do
Command P. So, where was it? Was it in Versify? Was it this?
SigmaNodesUpdater. It's at the top right. Oh, yeah, there you go.
And so, this is just a bunch of names, or is it also a bunch of methods underneath here? Like this is class SigmaNodesUpdater. This is a bunch of names or links and stuff. And then would the arguments, like what's the difference between arguments and this? Just this whole part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Shows you paying attention. I never really explained that. Yeah, so scroll up.
I mean, you could do it simply. Like, I think maybe this part is just all of the names and things.
Well, yeah. So lines 30.
And then maybe this is the part that just does. These are just like things that this does everything with what is named inside this whole thing. See what I'm saying? Or no?
Oh, yeah. All right, so scroll down a little bit more.
Okay.
All right, that's good.
Yeah.
Lines 38 through 45, those declare something called the member variables of the class.
Okay.
Those essentially define what properties we're allowed to have when we say this dot property name. I never explained that before. If you look at lines 57, we're essentially saying that this dot sigma nodes is equal to the sigma nodes passing our arguments object. We're only allowed to do that because on line 39 first, we define that the class can have a sigma nodes property.
Okay. So then you do it for all the properties, and then
Yeah, so lines 47 through 65, that takes the values from the arguments object and then assigns them into the this object.
okay. And that way it can be used, over and over and for different things. And
Right.
And
the arguments object, it's given the type of the arguments class defined at the bottom.
Okay. And
more specifically, it's following the injection schema defined for that
class?
Yeah.
Or okay.
As given by the add inject types sigma nodes updater args defined in the diversify config for that injection type.
And then this is just
That's just a method.
okay.
Yeah. That's not really relevant to the dependency injection.
Uh-huh.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, there's a lot going on inside these classes, so I was just kind of curious at, so basically up here is like, you define, this is going to be terribly bad syntax, but you define the maybe variables.
The properties that will be available on this.
Yes.
Like literally the this keyword.
Okay.
And then lines 57 through 64, we assign the values of each of those properties on this.
Yeah.
Equal to the properties available in the arguments object in the constructor.
Which is this?
Yes.
Or no? In the you said constructor. Is this a constructor?
No, that's not a constructor. That's a class.
Yeah.
Go up to line 50-ish. Yeah, line 47. We have the constructor.
The constructor.
Function. It takes one parameter.
Yeah.
Which is an object with 9 properties.
Yeah.
And that object as a whole conforms to the sigma nodes updater args object or class. And that class is what's defined at the bottom of the file.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. And then you just, yeah. Very cool. And I mean, I could see there's like everything's like, there's concepts that we learned that are in the concept that we just learned that are like, yeah, so it's cool. So I'm getting it.
Yeah.
But I don't fully understand yet, but
for sure.
Yeah. You must feel like a god when you're coding, just like, I put this and this and this and that. This is sweet. All right, that's good because I have to go to class. But
yeah.
I think that was a good session.
Sounds good, man.
We started at like 8:40. Well, maybe a little after, but
yeah,
good an hour and a half at least.
Yeah.